What is up, guys? It is Worship Production Podcast.
What is going on?
Yo, what's up? My name is Quinn.
And my name is Tanner.
And we are here to talk some worship and some production and the whole gambit that comes with it.
Let's go.
Let's go. Let's go. So, listen, guys. We had a consistent streak going for like 2 weeks.
We did.
It was good. It was probably our longest streak yet.
Probably.
But here's the thing. I went away. I went on vacation to Denver, and I was there quickly for a short wedding, and then flew to Orlando for a conference. And it was a whole trip, but we want to make this episode all about breaking down that conference, talking it through, what gear was being used. That's going to be Tanner. What panels were being used, how the setup looked. We're going to post it on our Instagram. We're going to get comments from you guys on what you think and questions that you have and how it worked. And we're just going to talk a little bit about the ins and outs of big production like that.
Yeah.
Because it was quite the job. We had 700 panels, 700 LED panels within this wall. There was a big chunk up top, down low, to the right, up top, down low. It was a broken screen into 6 sections. And then we had a lid roof angled probably almost 45, not quite 45 degrees overhead. And then along the edge of the stage, there was a catwalk that stuck out probably 50 feet. And along the entire edge of that, there was LED panels. And then in front of the elevated drum cage, there was LED panels, about 10 panels there. And it just was a sick setup, sick design, totally insane. Yeah. So when it comes to planning those types of things, like this type of project, there's a lot more than just, oh yeah, let's take a couple road cases, let's go and build it, you know? We're back. We lost you there for a second.
Sorry. We had some slight technical difficulties.
Yes, we had audio issues.
Yeah. I don't really know what happened, but my mic wasn't recording. It was, but barely. That's it. All right, back on track. We are talking about Quinn's conference that he was at, and that is what we will be talking about today. We will be posting these pictures for you guys on our Instagrams, so please go check us out at Worship Production Podcast. That's where you can catch up on any news that we have, any questions that you want to ask us. Feel free to DM us there, but you can also see some of the graphics and pictures that we talk about right here in the episodes every Sunday evening, afternoon kind of time frame. So feel free and please follow us. We'd love it. We'd love your guys' support. So, but anyway, we will be going over the pictures that we will post on there this Sunday. Well, the time you guys are watching this, or listening rather, those pictures will be up, and you guys can follow along with us. So, Quinn, go ahead and take us away.
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't really remember. It's been a little bit.
Yeah.
I know we were talking about the stage setup and how there was a catwalk going around the stage, and there's the the drums, and then there's 2 screens, upper section, lower section, right section, left section, center.
Yeah.
And a lid. And in between all of this was lighting, and I'll let you, once we kind of break down the pictures here, I'll let you kind of talk what you're seeing there, because you're the expert. But I know that setting up this LED wall alone was just a bore. It was insane.
I mean, the thing is massive.
Yeah.
Like you guys can see it in the pictures. It looks like there's an LED wall on the ceiling as well.
Yeah, there sure is. And we had to show up a day earlier than planned because we needed to rig the ceiling up before anything else could go.
Oh, absolutely. Yep.
Essentially, we dropped the points. It was on motors that brought it up. And we built it on like a flat parallel to the ground with iron pipes or steel pipes, whatever those are. And we clamped them to the trussing, 2 sticks of truss. And we back bolted every single one of the panels together so that there's no falling out we had thumb screws in all the modules so that none of those fell out, and rigged it in a way that it could go up, and it went up all the way parallel, and then we dropped the back end to where it was meant to be.
Yeah.
So
and
that
you guys can see that in the videos and pictures, like how it's tilted almost towards the crowd just a little bit. But like it really just looks so sick. So sick.
Right. Yeah, it was insane. So good. We got different types of content on there that made it just like really pop and stand out, and bunch of different artists were out there. We had Red Rocks Worship.
Yeah.
We had We the Kingdom, a single guy from Maverick City. His name escapes me, but it's not the big guy. It's not the dude with the raspy voice.
Dante Bowie or Chandler Moore. Chandler Moore.
Yeah. So it was a pretty great build. A lot of hours went into it. We had to zip tie everything to the catwalk because there was no like rigging points.
Mm-hmm.
So everything was kind of standing on its own. And we put fly bars on the top with the eye bolts out of it to kind of give that seamless edge on the top.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was quite the project. As for the software side of things, I'm just going to give you guys the full rundown.
Yeah.
But as for the software side of things, I talked about a software called Nova LCT.
Yep.
Couple weeks back. This program is great in a lot of capacities. This build is too much for that program. There's just too much going on.
Yeah.
You have different screens operating all at once. You could do it with Nova, but it would be probably 5 or 6 different processors.
Oh, geez.
Instead, we used 3 M controls, which has like 40 ports on it, 40 data ports, and we used fiber lines with CVT10s that gave us extra processing ports, so that we could run all of this off of one brain, and we changed the processors together, and it kind of snaked down, daisy chained through, so that everything was speaking in one fluid motion.
Yeah.
We couldn't use Nova LCT, so we used Resolume. We built a blank canvas on Resolume. We were like, this is what you have for giving picture.
Yep.
We entered on all of the resolution to spec, like pixel by pixel for each part of the screen. We put squares there, and then they had to build their content based on that.
Yeah. That's just so sick. And Resolume is a software that I'd love to be more familiar with for sure. I know we've used it at our Pendel Youth Conventions,
Yep.
and I know some people who are really well versed in that. And that software is crazy. It's just crazy, and I don't know any of it. But
so much you can do with it. Mm-hmm. Like it's pretty much the Pro Tools of video, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, that would, as far as I'm aware, like Resolume is, so it's capable for essentially mapping, right? Like with where graphics are and stuff like that. But with Resolume, you're able to overlay like effects on top of your graphics in real time, or overlay your graphics on top of effects real time. And I'm sure you can do that with like ProPresenter or something else that like manages content. But the way that I've seen Resolume be used was like, it's taking a video shot and then like it's like glitching, like you're making a glitch effect, and like it's not only affecting the screen, it's affecting the content.
Right.
Like you can tell if the screen's glitching out, that's a cool effect. The content is glitching out.
Right.
Like I don't know how to explain it, but that's the only way I've seen it be used in those big conferences, like for worship and stuff, and it is just the coolest thing ever. I know not enough to speak about Resolume at all, but super powerful software for sure.
Yeah, I think of those like video effects if you think like Earth, Wind, and Fire, or like even like anything from Woodstock, where it's like the guitarist and there's like just layers and layers of guitars moving and stuff.
Yes, just
like,
all over the place.
It's like intentionally messed up video.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just for the art.
Yeah, it's super cool.
Yeah, so that was quite the build as far as LED goes. It was quite the build as far as all things audio, video go.
Yeah, and you can see it from the pictures. Like it's a beefy rig. It's sweet.
There's quite some gear here. There's the video world was like 3 different pull-out tables long of just different gear.
Yeah.
Tanner's gonna give us the rundown of what he's seeing with that. Actually, you want to go in?
Yeah, let's just start this rundown right from the top. But before we do the rundown of these videos and pictures from the conference, I think we started to touch on it before I had some technical difficulties, but we had two podcasts in a row.
Yep.
Dropped on time.
Yes.
That's really impressive for us. I think that ties our record. I think we've done 2 in a row before.
Yeah.
But we unfortunately failed to give you guys 3 weeks in a row. But we have a valid excuse. Quinn, do you want to tell us why we weren't able to? Do you want to tell the viewers why we were not able to record last week?
Yeah, well, it's a quick little ditty here. I did take my microphone and my laptop.
He did.
We
were prepared, guys, to record during this conference that we're going over today.
I was prepared to talk about, hey guys, I'm in Orlando. Give you the full rundown of like what's going on as it's happening.
Yeah, this was the planned episode for last week.
Yes, and lo and behold, the schedule kind of got tight. I didn't really think I had time, so we ended up not being able to record on the Thursday that we had planned.
Yes.
Well, I get on the plane. We're like, we can still make this happen because I get home Saturday night. We're like after church on Sunday, like let's record it and then post it.
Yeah.
I get on the plane. I come home. I get home and I'm like, wait, where's my laptop? It's still on the plane. It's under the seat on the plane I was sitting at. I just left it laying there like a fool. And so I contacted Delta and I gave them the full rundown of like where I was sitting, what they should be looking for. They got back to me quicker than I thought they ever would. I didn't know if they would get back to me.
Yeah. I'd be like, oh crap, it's gone forever.
But yeah, they were like, yeah, just send us a UPS label from yourself to yourself and we'll ship it back to you. And I was like, done. I got it in 2 days and here we are now.
Yeah,
so,
that's just incredible. I mean, props to Delta, first of all.
Right.
I also, I would have been like, yeah, there's no way they ever get this back to me. Like, it's gone.
Right. I mean, it was like, what can I do? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I kind of was over it. I was at peace with it.
Yeah.
Like,
that's all you can
how it
be.
is.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
is what it is. What are you
But
going to
then
do?
the real clinger here is I had all my stuff. I took it to Orlando, ready to record. I got back and I set up my stuff tonight. And I look, as I'm setting it up, I'm like, where's my cord? Oh, it's right on my desk where I left it. So I never even took the cord to connect my microphone to my laptop. So
that episode was never getting to you guys last week. And I'm so sorry.
There was a whole slew of things. I'm so sorry.
The devil was working against us last week. It was it wasn't meant to be, and that's okay. But it's about getting back up. We will get 3 episodes in a row right now. This is the start. Number 1, then number 2, then number 3.
I sure hope
4 and 5. Who knows? Take this on forever. But anyway, guys, let's jump into it. Okay, so we have the first movie or video, and that really just gives you a big kind of overview of everything that's going on. Shows it looks like 16:9 or possibly even 20 wide projection screens on the right and the left side, and then you have this really cool video wall that comes across here. Obviously gaps in the corners, which I think is sick. You have the video wall on top, and then my personal favorite touch that happened here is you see the lighting in between the video wall. So the video wall is gapped, probably about a panel, I would assume, depending on how big those lights are.
A little bit more.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that I think is sick. I love the design and the creativity behind that. Nobody thinks to do that. I don't say nobody, but I actually, what's funny is when Quinn sent me this last week, I was like, no way. Like, I just designed a tour rig, a lighting rig for a tour that we have going out in November, and I gave them this same idea. Now, much smaller scale, but it was a couple 16:9 LED walls, but they were split into thirds. So there was 2 gaps, and in between each gap, there was a bunch of blinders, very similar to what you see here, those blinders, just kind of scattered throughout. And then it's part of the video wall. So, like, you know, you can make those the color of your content at the time, and then just punch the crowd. Like, I think that is just a brilliant creative idea. I love that I got to see it here in design, because I've never really seen anything like that, at least deployed this well. I think this is, I mean, the way that it was deployed here and like, what's the word? Executed flawlessly. I think it just looks great. It was done tastefully. It doesn't look stupid. Like, it looks like it belongs. I love that. That's my first note from just looking at that overall.
Yeah, it's like a lot, but somehow it's still not too much.
Yeah,
you know?
Like, it's so simple. Like, yes, there is so much going on, but like, from a real distant perspective, like, okay, yeah, it's some cool video walls and a bunch of bright lights, like, in a couple lines. Like, that's what's nice, is there's that. So if you look at I'm going to call it the truss square. I don't think it's technically connected on the one side, but the square kind of surrounding the video wall on the ceiling. You've got lights on the front and back. So from a perspective, I love the creativity behind this. You have 3 rows of blinders / lights. You've got your top row, which, again, it's on this. It's just as high, it looks like, as possibly the middle row, but because it's closer to you, it looks like it steps down. So you have that first row of lighting, and that second row of lighting, which is upstage. So that first row I'm referring to is the downstage truss. That's in front, downstage, and then the second row is that upstage truss behind the video wall. And then the third row that you see is the one that's in between the video wall. So these rows not only go farther, like, go from closer to you to farther from you, but they also go from, like, high to low. And that like, almost like semi-vertical drop of these rows is just so creative. It gives it, man, I'm just at a loss for words today. I don't know. I'm gonna say distance. It gives it distance.
Depth.
That's depth. Yeah, depth. It just, I don't know. It's cool. It's cool.
Cool.
That's really all I can
I
say.
like lights.
Like, I like bright things in my eyes. No, it's probably what I sound like at this point in time.
No, not at all.
But I thought that was super cool. You have your main arrays here, which is, if I count this, 3, 6. I can't tell if that's 9 or 10 aside, but they look like probably twin 12s, twin 12 boxes or something like that. So that probably kicks. And then if you take a look, and right now I'm looking at the end of that video. It's that last frame of the video where it pauses. You have 2 truss lines going out. So, and there's also another picture if you go here to. It's loading. 6. I think it's picture number 6. You see this, like, T that comes out from the stage kind of into the crowd. That's super popular with like lots of the worship and concert stuff that you see nowadays. And what's really cool is on the side of this T on the ground, you have these strip lights that just help to uplight the people as they're walking. Kind of some ground face light, which is super cool. You see that at a lot of, like, you know, you'll see it in Broadway shows and stuff.
Yeah.
Where they'll have foot lighting, I think is what they call it. Super cool. Gives good texture to the face. I think it looks great. Adds color to people. Like, it's cool.
And what you can't see really quick is on that entire catwalk, that's where the LED wall, it literally frames that out on the ground. Like, it's panels all along the side of that. If you zoom in on picture number 6, you can see the top of the fly bars to the left and the right of that stage there that are It's literally just zip tied right on there.
Oh, wait a second. I don't see that. Which one is it?
It blends in pretty well. The one where
does.
it's like looking downstage from that tee that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, on there, that's where the catwalk's at. That is the catwalk in which the panels are on the ground. If you zoom in at the drums, you can see.
What do you mean by catwalk?
Oh, we were calling it the catwalk. The T-shaped stage.
Gotcha. Okay.
Not looking up in the rafters, looking down on the floor. We were calling it the catwalk.
Gotcha. Wait, so are there panels on the outside of the catwalk?
There are, yes.
Okay, that's sick.
Yep.
That's really sick. Yeah, you
So
can't really see that
that-
from the picture. Oh, you can kind of see a little bit there. Yeah.
I'm gonna add one more to our list here to send.
Yeah.
That has that included.
Yeah, that's super cool. But yeah, so
But-
looking from this catwalk area, you see the truss that runs on the ceiling along both sides of it. Again, I see some strip lighting. I saw some ellipsoidals. I'm assuming LED. That's probably face light. I'm assuming that's face light for the main stage. But I also see some movers out here on this. And here's, honestly, this is, looks sick. Looks dope. My favorite thing from any of these pictures is the pre-rig truss. If you're in production at all, you know what pre-rig truss is. So if you guys look at this picture number 7 where you're on the T stage, and that truss that's right in the top of the picture, it's like not normal, right? It's a little wider, probably 18 inches. And the lights are like inside the truss. I don't know how to explain it. You'd have to just look at the picture. They're like inside the truss. So basically what this allows you to do is that truss gets lowered, and then little legs with wheels clip, or, different manufacturers do it a different way, but they go on the edges of this truss, and the truss wheels around. So the lights and all the wire stays rigged on the truss. Or, again, pre-rig, you set it up in a shop, program it, address it, do all that stuff. And then you just roll it in, you number the truss, line the truss up in the number order, and then fly it. And it takes no time. You're not hanging lights, you're not running cable, you're not addressing, you're not patching. It's all done. Programming, everything. Love that about this. Love the pre-rig truss.
The only thing with that is like driving it or shipping it probably is maybe a little more hazardous.
Definitely. So not necessarily hazardous, because it is fairly safe. Like, again, you're not putting anything on the outside of that truss. That's why it's kind of like wrapped around the fixtures, because you hang them on that center cord in there. So it does keep the fixtures safe. The biggest thing that I've always heard, like the argument with the pre-rig truss, is like, okay, well, space. Like, instead of, because typically you're just stacking, you know how to stack, like the truss just gets stacked, and it takes up fairly little, like it always takes up a lot of space because they're long, but it takes up less space than if they had legs and wheels and fixtures on them. But what you have to account of is most likely you're stacking this. So you can stack the pre-rig truss on top of itself. So the little legs will go on the top of the other one. You can probably only go 2 or 3 high. So it saves you a little bit of space. Second thing you got to think of is all the cases for lighting. All these fixtures that typically travel in a road case, those road cases are gone.
Yeah.
So especially an event like this, you've got a lot of strip lights, you've got a lot of moving heads, got some Lecos, got a ton of blinders, a ton of these super cool circular lights. All those that typically would travel in a road case because they're getting mounted on site, and some of them still are. Some of them will still travel in road cases. Everything that's on the pre-rig truss loses those cases.
Forget about it.
So, I don't know. In my opinion, I think pre-rig truss saves just as much space as it takes up.
Right.
And the amount of time it takes or saves on the load in, and remember, everything's about the load in and even more about the load out. The amount of time it saves for that stuff, I think, is completely worth it. And
it's an efficiency dream, really.
100%. But yeah, so that's really from what I see for lighting. The blinders are sick. I don't know what the blinders are, or honestly, I don't know what any of these actual manufacturers of the lights are. But super sick, super sick. I think the lighting is killer. You can see more of it in the third image, which is actually a video. Kind of see those movers panning around. So it actually looks like those movers aren't used for face light, which means face light is probably just those LED Lecos that were hung up there on the sides. But like you watch that third video, like it's epic. Like
that's what it is in its full glory. Like,
yeah, like the content is so cool. Like the slow pan, the bright white, like they got the gobos, the beam, the haze is in the room. Like it just looks killer. You got iMag on the side. That's what those screens are for. You got the content, which just it looks sick. And Quinn can touch on that later about what happened with the content. But like even with a lack of great content, like just look at that. The screen, like just the cool design makes that, even with like inefficient content. Just super killer. Super killer. I think I see, I can't tell. So in the video, in the third video, I think what you're seeing is the lighting console right there. Actually, no, I'm 100% positive it's the lighting console. And then I can't tell if that's, I don't think it's Allen and Heath. I'm not totally sure. Bad luck. I'm also not super familiar with a ton of those consoles, just because I've used Allen and Heath my entire professional career. And I love them dearly, and I love the Avantis, and I would buy one for myself for my birthday if I had enough money. That's besides the point.
Hint, hint. Anyone?
Yeah, to my wife, please buy me what, a $14,000 console? Yeah, that'll never happen. But no, just absolutely killer design, lighting, and again, I'm a lighting guy. This is killer. Like I love this, love it. You were sending me videos and pictures, and I was like, this is just so sick. But going through the first video, looking at the second picture, that's the monitor console, a Quantum. Again, not sure. Is that Digico? I think Quantum is Digico.
You've got me, my friend.
Yeah, I'm not super familiar with like Digico and Yamaha are probably the two of the big like professional audio brands that I just don't have a ton of experience with. But
I just wanted to talk really quick about this console. Like, as someone who's done production, you've seen a lot of different events. Like, why does this exist? Why is this console off to the side of the stage? Like, there's a guy at the front of the house. Why is this by the side of the stage?
As I drink my water. So the reason for monitor consoles, as I stumble over my words, first of all, super common. You'll see this at any festival that's remotely large. So basically what it allows the front of house person to do is focus on mixing the house.
Right.
With, again, little festivals, you got a 5-piece band, like, okay, it's whatever. You go, you mix some auxes, they get their in-ear mix, they get their monitor mix, whatever they want. For big things like this, like how many people were on stage?
It depended on who was going, but the most at one time was probably 13.
13, exactly. So think of like worship right now. You've got your band, maybe 7 people, and then you have like 40 singers on stage because everybody needs to sing. It's great. I love it. But it can be such a headache for the front of house guy because do you remember in Italy, there was how many of you on stage? Was it 7? 7 or 10?
Yeah, 7,
something like that. Remember me trying to mix your guys' in-ears and how hectic that was?
Yeah. Insane.
For 7 people.
Right.
On a fairly basic. Now, granted, I was mixing on an X32 rack on my iPad. We were in Italy. We had woken up an hour and a half late. We had stumbled in.
We were playing in 30 minutes. Yeah.
There was a lot going on that fed into that. But the same basic principle is still relevant there. Like, you remember how hectic that was. And I had to go mix the house.
Yeah.
Like, I was mixing the house in the first and second song. I had nothing mixed. I had stuff pre-mixed from rehearsal, but, like, not with people in the room. Not with, like, there was still a lot to do, and it was so hectic trying to go around and communicate with you guys while you are trying to rehearse. Right. It's very difficult to do those at the same time because we have to stop and communicate. So for the monitor console basically allows the front of house engineer to strictly focus on the mix. Their job is when you guys are sound checking, he's just doing his thing. You aren't talking to him at all. You guys just do your thing. He does his thing. Monitor console guy does his thing. You communicate to him. You tell your MD what you need. MD conveys it. All he's focused on is making sure that your monitor mix, your in-ear mix is pristine. You have exactly what you need, and it gets done right away. Why? Because he's not mixing the house. He doesn't need to. He doesn't need to worry about that. His sole job is to make sure that you hear what you need to hear so you can perform. And so you can perform, the front of house guy can mix. So it's really a luxury. And that's about all I can say for that. It's a luxury. It's very common and very important, especially when there's 13 people on stage. Because try communicating with 13 people at the same time. It's just not going to work. You would never get through rehearsal. Yeah.
The question that comes to mind next would be, isn't this guy just like, couldn't I just get an ME and use my own mix, like mix myself?
Absolutely.
What's the difference in benefit in using a live person to the side of stage versus a bunch of boxes?
Yeah, so the ME, I think, for one, is great. You don't see the MEs a ton in like live production stuff. You'll typically see monitors or in-ear mixes, or in-ear monitors rather. But to your point, like, yes, absolutely can. And that's great. It saves, if that's what it's about. But like, if you think about it from, let's say, a price perspective, like, okay, you're paying a guy labor and you're paying for the console and you're paying for all the IEM packs and receivers and stuff. Can be fairly pricey. If you're doing it the other way, and let's say you're putting out those, first of all, especially these big conferences, not everybody is able to do the MEs. People are still going to be on packs. You still need to have people mixing their monitors. So then you're throwing it to the front of house guy, which again, what we just talked about, then everything else gets backed up. Rehearsals run slower. Like, stuff isn't perfect. This allows it to be perfect. You ask, you receive. It's that simple. And along with the MEs, like at that point in time, you're running CAT all over the stage. You have to have a console that's compatible with it.
Thoughts.
So like you have to run Allen Heath for an ME. It's not working on anything else. If you run the Behringer, you have to run Behringer. Like, that's it. You run Axiom, you have to get an Axiom card for whatever console you're using, and that's just really not super relevant in the live production world. So like, Monitor's console is that, like, that's why they do that.
That's fair. Like that tour mindset, like there's people moving on stage. If you have more wires on stage, that's tripping hazard. Because tour is like a lot of movement. There's a lot of people on stage that could trip. And like at the end, it's going to be a lot more to tear down 13 consoles instead of a single board.
100%.
And like fishing all that wire out from under the stage and.
And typically, like, these monitor consoles, like, again, everything is wireless. Like, he has no physical outputs, and typically he has one physical input. Like, all those things he's sending, everything gets input into the front of house console. And then typically that console is networked via Dante, or if you're running Allen Heath, via the S-Link. So it's a CAT line. Runs literally every audio input to the monitor's console. And now the monitor console has everything.
And that's Cat 6?
Yep, just a single Cat 6 cable.
Wow.
And it now has everything the front of house console has. And it's able to output that to the IEMs for the musicians on stage.
It's amazing.
It's amazing. It saves time. It's definitely beneficial. And honestly, probably at the end of the day, more cost efficient to do that. Now, again, in this case, you're bringing out like a big Digico console. Like, okay, maybe it's not as cost efficient, but in this case, that's not, like, the ME thing is just not an option for a conference like this. For littler things, you can get like, okay, yeah, maybe that'll work. For a conference like this, it just wouldn't be possible. You need that monitor's console side stage.
Yeah. Wow. And I wanted to throw one more thing about that into the mix. I saw the church that put on this conference. They were the first ones to go. As they were sound checking, because we were in there, we were like excited to see this in its full glory.
Yeah.
They were getting their sound and they were working through the instruments for the front of house. Well, at the same time that he was mixing the front of house, they had the band. They didn't even look at the front of house or the in-ears mix guy. They didn't even look at him. They just, as they were working through the instrument, they held their finger up or they held their finger down.
Yep.
And they just held it there until I assume he did it in their ears.
Yeah.
And then it was so like efficient and like professional. I was like, whoa, that's so cool. Because just as they worked through the instruments, they got their own mix. And of course, then they pointed and they were like up or down, but like they kind of got their bass without any communication, just holding a finger up or down.
Yeah, and that's precisely the reason for that is, again, they're able to do that at the same time. Front house guy does his thing, monitors guy, and again, you don't need to communicate. For the musicians who are, one, been playing for long enough or travel or do stuff, they know what their mix is. They know what they want in their mix. So they're just like, all right, guitar's too hot. And all the monitors guy is doing is looking on stage. All right, looks like the lead keys player has his finger up. He wants whatever sound checking right now up. And what he's got is, honestly, he's probably just got that, let's say guitar is sound checking. He's probably just got guitar opened with all the sends. And he's like, all right, lead keys, push the lead keys fader up until his finger goes away. Perfect. And just does that for everybody. And then when the keys player starts checking, he just opens up the keys, looks at the sends, and then he's like, all right, and just moves. Like, so simple, efficient, it's quick, and that's
and everyone's happy. It's the least amount of headaches. That's just I feel like the entire live production atmosphere is just remove headaches.
Yeah, I mean, that's our main goal.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Lord knows the amount of Sundays I've done and played worship, and we spend like 30 minutes going over in-ear mixes.
Yeah.
Again, not for me. I'm on an ME most of the time, but like, oh my goodness, the vocalist sometime will be like, oh, I need more of this. I need more of this. I'm like, holy moly. And then we spend 20 minutes going over in-ear mixes just for them after worship to be like, I couldn't hear anything. I'm like, okay, well, we spent 20 minutes trying to figure it out. So you better heard something.
Right. Totally.
But, yeah. No. So monitors console. Heck yeah.
It's a heck of a thing.
Love monitors console. I also love running monitors console. It's really fun because most of the time you're probably not doing anything during the concert.
Yeah.
You have to be attentive, but like, it's a very chill job. I love it. It's a lot of fun.
Right. And you get to be right to the side of the stage where
you're right in the mix, like, dab them up as they go on stage, like just you're just friends with the band essentially. And again, just like, and I'll preach this, whether you're a lighting guy, audio guy, video guy, what you do during a worship set is just as much leading than the musicians are. Like, you are just as much a part of that song as the musicians are. It is your job to do your job well and to cultivate the worship in the atmosphere. Like, if you're a lighting guy, like, you're not just going strobe and like freaking laser beams all over the place. If it's not, like, you got to just be attentive to what's going on. You have to, like, that is your instrument. That console is your instrument. Use That's it good. Like so. That's just one thing that I always like to kind of preach, because it really is. It's true, and it's important that we are just as much, like, again, trying to lead in worship. So, heck yeah.
Wow.
So next video we kind of already went over. Again, that's the lighting console. I have no idea what it is because I didn't look at it and I can't really see. But it's cool. It's big. Big is cool. That's for sure.
Big is cool.
So again, super cool video. And then we got picture number 4. We got my boy Brian Gabner. Shout out.
There he is. Zoom in on the left.
Yeah, zoom in. Sitting down, probably playing on his phone. Little nerd. I'm kidding.
No, he was working heavy. We had so many leads from the conference. We've done 2 major conferences in less than a month's time. So they have so many leads. Brian's on our sales team. He's our sales manager, actually. Just so much work ahead of us.
That's so cool. That's really cool. Really awesome.
It's great
for you guys as well. Like, that's epic. Was Josh on this one?
Josh, yes. Okay. Both Joshes, Eichelberger and Dominguez, were on this one.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. So Josh is the one on the left. I know Josh. I played golf with him one time. It was kind of weird. But no, the golf wasn't weird. I loved my time with him. How it happened was weird. I met him you brought him to college age, and I was on the roof with Hunter and Adam and Dane.
Yes.
I think we were throwing tennis, or were you? No, you were there too. Yeah, we were throwing tennis balls on the roof or something stupid.
Yes.
And then they showed up, your friends from work. Mm-hmm. And somehow we got talking. We're like, oh, we should go play golf. And we invited him to play golf. And then you and Alex bailed. And then me and this kid I met
did not bail. I fell asleep.
Me and this kid I met a day ago. Just go play golf for 4 hours before work. It was iconic.
It was great.
But yeah, what's going on in this picture, Quinn? Is that a video wall behind you that says his?
Yes, that's 2 video walls actually. It's 6 high by 4 wide on one side, and then 6 high by 5 wide on the other. Mm-hmm. We wanted to create a little more depth. It was originally meant to be one big screen, but we broke it up and put a 30-degree angle on it just to show
oh yeah,
you can make any design that you want.
Yeah.
And also that 30-degree pointed towards the conference. We were on the far left side of this major hallway that led right into the exhibit hall. And so it was we brought that angle in to kind of bring people to the booth at the same time as show what you can do.
By the way.
Yeah. So there's a little bit of seam. If you can zoom in on that picture, you see it's completely black. We just put a drop cloth behind that.
Yep.
And then there's 2 video wall posters on the sides. They're really good for scrolling announcements, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Servicing them is not easy, but they don't go bad very often, and they function great. They do great portability. You can just roll them, plug them in, and literally play. Just plug your HDMI in. You can do USB plug and play, where you just throw a USB thumb drive in it, and it plays whatever content you load on there.
That's sweet.
Yep. Or you can load solutions on an internal brain, and you can just have that
that's really
repeat.
Cool.
So there's a different couple ways you can do it, and
it's
all really sick. So just a way for us to show off our product. This was more a conference for building relationships. We decided with the people that are running the production. And we still got some really good hot leads. So it was a good turnout.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Awesome. No, the video wall was cool. I noticed now that I zoom in, I can really tell it is a video wall. But at first, first of all, the graphic is sick. It looks like paper. It looks like a drop cloth. And I was like, man, but that's super vibrant for a cloth. That's super cool. Love how you guys were able to angle that and show that. The little refresh LED table, that's just sick. I think that's super cool.
That's just some LED strip lighting in a faded plexiglass.
Yep. Yeah,
So.
it looks sick, though. It's super cool that you guys are able to, brand like that at a conference. I think that's super. And I mean, clearly it has been beneficial. We've got tons of leads buried, but no, I thought that was cool.
Sure.
I thought that little, more so, I just like the colors and the graphic, that they just look sick.
Yeah, that faded look. It was very nice.
But yeah, moving on to the next picture, we have the back of the wall. So many of you guys, your first thought when you're looking at this wall that's split in half is, okay, how the heck does that work? Here's how. Quinn, do you want to touch on this?
Yeah, I can touch on the LED side of things, and then you can touch on the lighting, I think.
Absolutely.
So you'll notice that there's different heights of truss there. Mm-hmm. You could do it all with the shorter sticks for the LED, as far as the LED wall is concerned.
Yep.
We had those extra ones in there so that the wall was supported. We went maybe a stick of truss every 2 panels, just so that it had support all the way down. It's a lot of weight that's hanging there.
And also lighting points.
Yeah.
I'm fairly confident those are the lighting points.
Right.
Correct?
Yeah.
So
those are
they
the
serve a
points.
dual purpose for sure.
Right. And we used a bunch for that, but you'll notice that there's some higher. There's 5 sticks that are higher than all the rest, and that's used more for the lighting side of things, actually.
Yeah.
If you wanted to take
Yeah,
What do you-
yeah. So the lighting, obviously you see like the top half of the wall is hung and the bottom half is ground stacked, and then so those five, and is it just five or is it six and we're just not seeing it?
There's
Probably six.
one more on the other
Yeah.
side. Yeah.
So those are obviously the lighting points. So those lights that you see in the middle, that's how they got there. So they just made a stick of truss a couple feet bigger, probably a meter, and then just rigged some lights onto it. So pretty simple, but it looks super cool. Like, again, looks epic, but it really didn't take too much extra work to get that done, especially with the lighting points. Doing it with truss like this is brilliant, and I'm going to steal that idea. The design that I had was all done with pipe, and it was like portable pipe grids. It was cool, but like it was like these pipe cages that like the video wall and the lighting stayed permanently mounted, and the pipe cages rolled onto the trailer. But no, this is a sick design. That's like, again, also video walls are just super cool to look at the back of. My wife and I have gone to 3 Texas Rangers games now that we live in Dallas, and they've got a massive, I have a picture for you too, massive LED wall. It's enormous. We sat, the one seat we sat in, we actually saw the back of it.
Wow.
And I don't know, I just love looking at the back of LED walls. They look cool, especially
It's
your panels.
definitely
They're all blue and black and fancy, and they're cool.
Yeah, it's definitely a sight to behold, especially when the lights are like flickering in time, like sequence, and
yeah, you gotta love that. But yeah, okay, moving to the next one. We're at the T again. We kind of went over this, so let's talk a little bit about audio.
Sure.
And there's not too much to note here. We kind of already went over the monitor, front of house console thing. So what you see here, and you see in a couple of the other pictures and images, is these little point source speakers, and they actually may. I don't know for sure. No, they're definitely not boxes. Or maybe they are. I have no idea. But so these little speakers here that are in between the movers, kind of hanging on that truss, I found that interesting because they're pointing kind of towards. So first of all, like, I've been in these conference rooms. The picture may make it look big, may make it look small. I don't know how you guys are viewing it. But the conference, like, this conference isn't enormous. Like, it's not an outdoor festival. You've got 9 or 10 aside. You're inside. I would imagine that main rig alone is fine. From what I'm seeing, that room is not deep enough to require delay PA. But I'm also, so that's why I'm confused, first of all. Second reason I'm confused is the fact that they're pointing like towards stage. Right? Like, they're at the middle of this T.
Yeah.
And which is not that far from stage, which has 2 big line arrays dropped right there. And they're kind of pointing towards stage. So that I found interesting. Not totally sure what those are being used for.
So I could maybe speak to that.
Yeah.
The guy, I feel horrible. I'm going to look it up after and maybe tell you guys. Maybe not. The guy that is from Maverick City was on a Nord piano with tracks and one singer with him. And he stood on the end of that T stage. So he stood where the square is at the end of it. So he was kind of underneath that truss. And I wonder, and maybe you would know better, if they were making the sound from where he was at.
Yeah, so they totally could be doing that. So I believe that's called Soundscape, if I'm remembering correctly. But there is a spatial audio software that highlights, and we can do a whole episode on this. Super cool. Never been able to use it, but it's super cool. Basically, you map out your room, you map out where your speakers are, you map out where all your instruments are, and if your guitar is on the right side of the stage, or let's say stage left, so if you're in the audience, it's on the right side. If your guitar's on the right, house right, and he's playing, you are going to hear it way more out of the house right PA than you are out of the house left. You'll still hear it in the house left. But that spatial is super cool, and it's not mixed. Like, the front house guy is not panning it. Like, the pan still does its own thing. Like, if you want to pan a dual like a stereo keys or something. That does its own thing. This is literally spatial. So if he's on stage, and as singers walk around, it tracks them in real time. Singers are walking around on stage. It's like, it just sounds different. It doesn't sound weird. It's not like you're panning something back and forth. Again, I don't know well enough, but it is so cool.
One of those things you have to experience to understand.
Yes,
a little.
yeah, you'd have to. But so they totally could have been doing that. I've only heard of 1 or 2 instances of that spatial audio being used. I'd be surprised if it was being used here, but they totally could have been using that for that effect during that time. Like, okay, we'll just send it to these speakers to kind of make it sound like it's coming from there instead of from the front. And we've done that in youth a couple times, Quinn, where we do like worship on the one side and we spin the room around and we're like, okay, we don't want to make the audio come from the right side. Like, let's just put some K10s out and blast it from the front. So that is likely why. That you make a great point. That's probably why those speakers are there. So less of delay. So you're probably right. There are probably no delay speakers. They're there for different acts that are happening on this T stage, which I think is brilliant. But yeah, that kind of covers the audio here.
They had 6 subwoofers. 6 big box subwoofers. What brand? You got me. Still working on it, but huge. They were huge. They put out immense like bass.
Yeah.
So good.
No, that's sick.
It was booming.
But yeah, so let's move to what I believe is the last picture here, and then we'll wrap things up. So we got a picture of Video World. So starting on the left, you've got, it looks like, so we'll start with the screens. Got your multi-view. Looks like you got your program. Looks like another multi-viewing program, maybe for stream. Not exactly sure what they were doing. Again, I'm not a video guy, so I know some of this stuff, but looks like a Ross Carbonite switcher. It doesn't look like Black Magic. If it is a Ross Carbonite and it's that big, holy crap, that thing is a beast. I don't know what company they brought in to do video, but that is a killer switcher. Got all their Black Magic devices, probably HyperDecks and stuff. They're probably recording ISOs of all the cameras. And then, yeah, looks like there are some PTZs because that looks like a PTZ controller now on the right table. So there's probably some PTZs. But yeah.
It was mostly PTZs.
Sure. Was it really?
Sure. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There was one in the back of the house, or front of house, where there was someone behind it and the rest was PTZ.
Interesting. So were there any cameras like on stage? Like where people were walking around like
there was, yes,
okay.
There
so
was
a couple roamers. Okay.
Yep. A couple roamers.
Yeah, that's cool.
The thing was, for as far as LED wall went, except for We the Kingdom, there was 0 like live feed going to it. It was just for, and you can see in the in the first video there's 2 projectors on the side.
Yep.
There's Panasonic 32,000 watt or volt.
It would be lumens.
Lumens, yes, yes. So those were Panasonic's. A&E Global was the company we were working with.
That's a massive projector.
They have a deal that they have to have projectors at every single event. Like they have a deal with Panasonic that you have to have our thing at any event you do.
Yeah. So
we saw it as an LED company. It was a massive marketing opportunity.
Oh, 100%.
Because you have like these are 32,000 lumens. Yep. And you look at our screens right next to it, and that was running at like 60% brightness.
Right.
Insane.
They're way brighter. Yeah.
So the live video was just coming on the projectors there.
Gotcha.
And
so
that's
most
what
of
the
these
PTCs
camera.
are for.
Gotcha. Nice. So most of was there live streaming during this?
I don't believe there was online.
Okay. So
but I think they were recording.
Gotcha. So they were recording, and then lots of those other like camera shots were probably just for Resolume and different cool effects and stuff to do on the screen. So no, that's super sick. Yeah, well that takes us through all those videos. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about with that conference?
No, I just threw one more picture on there, and you guys can check it out. It's with the catwalk that I was talking
Oh, I
about.
see it. Oh,
And
wow.
it just lights up the floor. It looks so cool. It's kind of extra because only the front row sees it, but like, it's so beautiful.
That is so sick. That is so
Yeah.
sick.
So I just love how it glows, like makes the floor glow.
Yeah, and that gives you like a really good view on everything there. So yeah, you got some moving wash on those lights. That's sick. Got the color strips. Yeah, no, that's epic. That really gives you a full view of everything after it's assembled, without the clutter around. No, that's a really cool picture. And then yeah, you see there the laser projectors versus the video wall. Crazy.
Yeah. And you can see there's a PTZ
Yeah.
right on the corner there.
Yeah, I see that.
On a big stand.
Confidence monitor there. So for lyrics and stuff for vocalists out on the T stage.
Mm-hmm. And
And the drums is up on a little drum riser, and the drum riser has the LED panels too.
yep,
That's sick.
we went all out. So it was quite the setup. There was a whole lot of work that went into it, but
Yeah,
it,
so
it
if you
brought a
could just
product like this.
touch real quick before we wrap up here on the planning that goes behind this. So how long were you guys planning this event, and what does that process kind of look like? Because clearly somebody thought
For
out
sure.
of all of this.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of different meetings that happened. I mean, the project management side of things, there was like the details. Okay, how are we getting there? What are we sending? Who are we sending? Like, how are we shipping all of this stuff from Pennsylvania down to Florida? Those odds and ends as a company was quite a bear to plan out.
Yep.
Then we had the meetings that involved the design of the stage and how are we running content to the screen. Who's going to be in charge of like overseeing the process of the build? Like, how are we rigging it? Because we had to run with A&E for how they're rigging their stuff.
Right. Yeah.
To use their points of rigging for
Yep.
our screen. So it was kind of a back and forth between the two companies of like, okay, we're going to need truss here and here, especially for that flown screen. We needed that spec'd out perfectly so that we could have that flown without any, like, when you have something upside down or hanging in a way that it's not designed to be hanging,
Yep.
you have to be extremely careful about how you rig it. You have to be certain, and you have to have all of those details planned out.
Yeah.
And I mean, the flown screens weren't any less like dangerous if they're flown poorly. And so
Right.
it takes a lot of planning of like, okay, this is how we're rigging it. These are the materials we're sending, making sure we're using the materials while we're there. Just bunch of people overseeing the process, double checking the process, and making sure that everything goes together that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have bolts in the back, we have the latches on the side of the panels, and then thumb screws in the back of the modules. So it's like triple checked.
Yep.
There's nothing that's going to fall. There's nothing that's going to vibrate from the sound that like out of place and fall or anything like that. And it brought a really smooth like production that way.
Yeah.
But it takes months. It takes months of that's not an easy thing. Like, that's not a day's meeting.
Yep.
It takes months to talk it through, work with the company that you're not a part of. Like, hey, how are you guys doing what you're doing? How can we work with you to make what we're doing work?
Yeah.
And thinking through just the logistics of it.
Yeah. No, that's super cool. Super cool. Well, no, that was awesome. Again, to kind of dissect that. But yeah, speaking of events that, take a long time of planning, we're coming up next week. I will be back in Pennsylvania for Uprise Festival.
Let's go.
We got No Big Deal, 1K Few, and then
Hey.
Social Club Misfits are
No way.
wrapping up that. So that festival is next weekend, and we will definitely have an episode just diving into that. I'm going to hopefully be filming some content for Spirit.
Let's go.
And also kind of a little bit personally, kind of just my travel up there, running everything and getting things set up, and then coming on home. So that's next weekend. So that has been being planned for months. I designed that lighting rig like 2 months ago. I've been programming that lighting rig all week. I'm programming it remotely down here in Dallas, and then I'll go up and plug my flash drive in, and hopefully everything works. No, but it's going to be a really good time. So definitely make sure to follow us, subscribe on Instagram or
give us those follows, y'all.
or Spotify, however it works, so you guys can stay up to date with our content and with when we post. But yeah, this about wraps it up. Again, guys, if you have any questions, please give us an email, DM, worshipproductionpodcast@gmail.com and at worshipproductionpodcast. We want to hear from you. We want to help you guys out.
And a special announcement really quick. We did add one more platform to our repertoire.
Yes, we did. Come on,
Let's
somebody.
go. Where are we playing at, Tanner?
We are now on Apple Podcasts,
Yeah,
baby. I was
boy.
able to rob my wife's laptop, download an old version of iTunes, and verify our account. Because that was the whole holdup for all of season 1. We couldn't figure it out, but we got it now. So, no,
That's
are now.
the big season 2 reveal.
Yeah, big season 2. We are on Apple Podcasts. Apple is superior, let's be clear. But Spotify is better than Apple Music.
It
and
is.
Apple Podcasts. So,
no doubt.
yeah, no doubt. So
they do music. Like, that's what they do.
Yeah, we have definitely been on the superior podcast platform via Spotify and YouTube.
Yep.
But we are now on Apple for all those people who think that Apple Podcasts is better than Spotify, which, no, I respect that opinion, but it's wrong. But yeah, please reach out. And anything else?
I don't think so. I think I'm excited to hear about your event. This was fun debriefing, and we're gonna get into it. This is our longest streak. We're in the middle of it right now.
We are starting it. Let's go, baby. Come on.
Let's go.
3 episodes.
Let's go.
We're gonna throw a little party, because actually I'll be in PA next weekend, and Quinn and I, maybe little spoiler alert, we'll have we'll have a golf podcast. What?
Yo,
what?
Golfcast?
Golfcast? Anyway, that may be being recorded next weekend or this weekend.
Let's go.
And then I'll be up for a little wedding reception in PA the next weekend. So we got some cool content coming from you. Maybe some fun different stuff coming up. Maybe some special guests. What? I have no idea.
Who said what?
Crazy. But
right.
Guys, we will catch you strong in the next one. But until then, this has been Worship Production Podcast. I'm your host, Tanner, with host
Quinn. We out.
We out.